Hi, I'm Deepa, and I call myself the Creative Mystic, and welcome to this sacred space, this sacred time. If you found this video, you must need to hear Archangel Gabriel's guidance on creativity and your path to awakening, because Archangel Gabriel wants you to know about this. As I was setting up for this Spirit and Art time, he really came in and was saying that you need to talk about this, that this is really important to share about the importance of your spiritual awakening, your enlightenment. You may use different words, but it's all the same thing. And he said, instead of looking at this as a hobby, that you really need to start looking at it as the important thing that it is. Okay. And so we're going to invoke his presence to hear more of what he has to say, and also the flying horse of what they have to say. But we're going to invoke his presence and create this sacred space here, this sacred energy, this sacred vibration here in my art studio, but more importantly, also in your space. And as I always share with you, because I always want to remind you how important it is to think about the energy in your physical space, but more importantly, the energy within yourself. How do you create that sacred space, that sacred energy within you? Because when it's within you, everywhere you go, you will be this light that creates sacred space in the physical location. So Archangel Gabriel's already coming in and guiding me, because that was not what I was planning to say today. So it's always amazing to me when this happens, and even to this day. Okay, so I'm going to ring the bell and invoke in Archangel Gabriel and the flying horse spirit guides, and we're going to infuse all the positive, uplifting, spiritual vibrations into this spirit guide portal, so that it can be a blessing to all who see it, to all who experience it. Okay, so when I ring the bell, I invite you to say, hello, Archangel Gabriel, hello, the flying horse, and welcome them in. I'm going to be welcoming into this sacred space and into your sacred space. And whether you're seeing this live or in the recording, it doesn't matter. It's all energy, and we can bring this sacred energy, this higher vibration of Archangel Gabriel and the flying horse into your space, because it's what we've been saying over several weeks. Archangel Gabriel and the flying horse want you to get miracles are possible. All things are possible. Okay, so let's close your eyes for a moment and just listen to the sound of the bell, and as you hear it, say hello. Hello, Archangel Gabriel. Hello, the flying horse. We welcome in, we invoke in thy presence, thy blessings, thy vibration. And as you feel and hear the sound of the bell, just know that Archangel Gabriel's blessings are coming forth and blessing you. And when you say hello, have the welcoming energy that you would for any guest that came into your home. Feeling that vibration, knowing that as it penetrates your eardrums, your body, mind, and soul, it is awakening you to the vibration, the energy, the blessings of Archangel Gabriel on the flying horse. And as we say hello, we're going to also light the candle. Light the candle and use the Palo Santo. I'm going to turn my chair around. Okay. All right. I'm going to do 2 chants that I always do. If you don't have Palo Santo, just imagine it. And if you've never experienced it, highly recommend getting some. I just absolutely love the smell of the Palo Santo. And the Palo Santo helps to remove negative energy, but also it invokes in and creates space and the vibration of the divine. So it removes negative and brings in uplifting positive. So we're going to bring the Palo Santo to remove any kind of negative energy that may have been brought by any imperfections in our thoughts. Okay. And we're going to give you a little, if you have ever, you can bring it into your energy. So remember, it doesn't matter that you're not here physically. Everything's energy, and it can transport through the camera, through the ethers. Okay. And let's start with saying 3 ohms, oming, and bringing forth the vibration of higher guidance, of God, Spirit, of Archangel Gabriel, into this canvas that is becoming and is a portal to the divine. Om. 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 Om Jayambakam Yajamahe Sugundam Pushtivardhanam Urvareka Bandhanat Richo Mokshamamritat. Om Om Bo Om Bavaha Om Swaha Om Maha Om Janaha Om Tapaha Om Satyam Om Tatsavitur Vadinyam Bargo Devasya Dimahi Diyo Yona Prachodayat. Om. Just fusing that intention, receiving the blessings. And we'll take a moment and just tune in to the Spirit Guide portal. And even though the portal itself is not finished, Archangel Gabriel and the Flying Horse are finished. They are complete. So, what Archangel Gabriel and the Flying Horse want me to share with you, the first thing I wanted me to share with you, we kind of briefly talked about it at the beginning, was, the importance of the path of awakening, your path of awakening, that if you're a person that has had some spiritual aspirations of wanting to get intuitive downloads, wanting to really trust that intuitive download so you can, take action on it. Maybe you have had the desire to connect with your spirit guides or wonder, do you have a spirit guide? Okay. Maybe you have been wanting the higher aspiration of becoming enlightened, or starting a spiritual business, or any kind of business, because maybe you're stuck in a job you don't like. Whatever those higher aspirations are, Archangel Michael has talked about how that miracles are possible and all things are possible, and that pick something in your life that you don't think could have, but that you've really, really have had heart's desire for it. Okay, so he's saying that that very thing that your heart's desire is pulling on you to do is part of your path of awakening. So that and that when you say yes to it, that you are actually going to help your awakening, your spiritual growth, your enlightenment to come forth, because each new step that you take helps to expand your consciousness, expand your abilities. And especially, he's saying that when you have a heart's desire that you want to do, but you've been too afraid and you take a step towards it, that when you have fear and you do it, that really starts to awaken you more, because as you take an action, even if you have fear, you basically like start to overcome that fear. You start to go, oh, when you see that you could do it, even though you had fear, you go, that fear doesn't have such a big impact on stopping you. Because, what's the biggest thing that stops people, right? Their fear. And so he's saying that you really want to start to understand that your path of awakening is a process, okay? And that that you need to take it seriously, okay? So he's saying that you have to stop looking at all the things that you feel in your heart's desires to do, whether it be maybe you want to be a healer and you go take a Reiki, certification, or you want to learn how to connect with your spirit guides, to actually take it seriously. Now, when he says seriously, he's not saying like, oh, take all the fun and enjoyment out of it. But he's saying to stop looking at it as it's just like a hobby or something that you just do when you have a little bit of free time. But he said, take it seriously, because those heart's desires are telling you the truth of your path of awakening. See, because he said that everybody's path of awakening looks unique, even if you're on the same spiritual path as other people. Okay. So he's saying that you have to start to take it seriously, in that you don't look at it as something you kind of do here when you got a little bit of free time. It's like meditation. They talk about meditating. If you really want to get the benefits of meditation, what do you have to do? You have to do it consistently, right? So so he's saying that when you have things that are your heart's desires, they're going to lead you to that awakening, to that process that you need to go through, that you have to take it seriously. Like, I'm going to schedule some time in for it. I'm going to actually do it because it's important. And he's saying now you're going to feel like, I'm being like frivolous, or I'm not doing the things I have to do or should do, because he says you've been programmed to think that following your heart's desires on doing that is being irresponsible, frivolous, childlike. That when you get to be an adult, you got to work hard, you got to do, the things you got to do and take life seriously. And he's saying that being serious about something doesn't mean taking the fun out of it. And that we've had too many things where we think that being serious means we can't have fun. But he's saying being serious is about making the commitment within yourself that this is important and that I'm carving out time for it. So that's his message right now. And now he's inviting me to go paint, and that more will come through as we continue to work on him. And I'm going to see, I think he wants me to work on him today, but we'll see what he guides me to. But if you have any questions or anything, please put them in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them. And part of it's kind of amazing, because I wasn't planning to talk about this today, but Archangel Gabriel said too, I'm going to be starting a membership that's based on these 4 pillars. And I'm not going to talk about it all now, because I'm actually doing a video on it now to share that with you, so you can check that out. Hopefully it'll be out next week, because I have to just edit it and then it'll be up. So, but he's really wanting people to start to, he says, like with everything that's happening in the world right now, there's wars happening, and there's a lot of stuff happening, okay, that your path of awakening, like if we just awaken one more person, each person we awaken shifts the energy from war to peace, from hate to love. And so if you can actually say, oh wait, this is one of the most important things for me to do, we start to create a tipping point for shifting and bringing the world to a more peaceful, joyful, loving place. You know, and this is one of the things that I've been working on, is to take my own path of awakening seriously. And part of my awakening process is creativity, you know, creating these spirit guides. And when I get busy and other things in our business, sometimes I don't pay for, you know, a week. And obviously with Archangel Gabriel, I paint every week now, because I'm doing this live, because I was guided to share. And he probably said that because I was getting too much into other kinds of work stuff. And he was like, nope, nope. And so I have recently owned, like, I posted up on my altar saying, I am owning creativity as my path to awakening, because it is for me. And it's something that I want to start sharing with you more. So if you have any shares, I'd love it. If anybody's live, that you go ahead and put a shout out of your name, introduce yourself, and share where you're from, because the reason why I say share where you're from is sometimes someone else sees it and they're in the same town. It does happen on occasion, okay? So if you like what you're seeing, please subscribe, okay? Turn on your notifications, you know, give me a thumbs up. I always like to show all my little creative things I've made, because it all helps my channel. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the comments. And we're going to get going on starting painting Archangel Gabriel. And he's probably, you know, or the flying horse may come in too, and give me some guidance on what else they're going to say about your awakening process. So I'm curious for anybody who is watching this, because Archangel Gabriel said it's really important to take your path of awakening as take it seriously, you know, something that's really important. So if your path of awakening is creativity like mine, or it's a healing modality that you're starting to do, that you stop looking at it as it's just a little hobby, and start to go, wait a minute, when I follow his heart's desires, is my path of awakening. For you to share with us about what yours is, and have you taken it seriously? And if not, are you willing to start now? Because that's what he's wanting. So who just jumped in? She speaks. Thanks for coming back again. I'm not sure how to say your name. Quasiah? From Kentucky. It's been a while on your channel. Thank you for showing up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I don't know if someone showed up early, kind of, but I know you've been here before, Bugado, Kaya Noah, and it's been a while. Oh, I did it, Kosai. Oh, thank you. Let me know I did it right, because I like to pronounce people's names right, but it's much more difficult, I will say, on YouTube, because I can't do any speaking with you live. And that's one thing one of the reasons why I want to start a membership where, you know, we can do live calls, maybe on Zoom or something like that. Now, this is something, if you happen to be an artist, I use glass inside of my painting palette. And so I do that because if I like to keep the paint on there that's dried on there, to make it easier for me to color match, because I mix most of my colors. I don't use everything out of just a tube. And so I leave it on there. And then when I need to take it off, I just use a razor blade to pull it off. So for me, it really works for me. So it's just, I always like to give little tips for anybody who might be a painting artist. But of course, the creativity does not have to be painting. It can be whatever you feel speaks to your heart, because that's the most important thing of what's true for you. So I was given some guidance to I'm going to work on the Archangel Gabriel, actually. I'm not even sure what he's going to have me do, but I'm going to put out the colors, different colors, and see what I'm being guided to do. So Archangel Gabriel really wants you to know that your path of awakening is in your heart. That when you know it's the right thing Oh, here it is. I was looking, missed my little paint. So he's sharing about how creativity, because he's told me to put the title down as creativity. Um, he's going to share about your creativity to your path of awakening. And earlier we talked about how important your path of awakening is, and for that he wants you to take it seriously. And the flying horse is coming in right now saying, and don't think you have to do it by yourself. And he's sharing that because he says if any of the people that are watching you are like you, because he's referring to me, he's saying because I have a habit of thinking that I'm going to do it on my own. I figure things out on my own, but then I don't do it totally on my own because my spirit guides come in and share with me what I should be doing. But to not think you're going to be isolated in this awakening process. A lot of times people think of awakening as this, like it's meditation, like you meditate, and it seems like most people meditate by themselves. And he's saying that the path of awakening is actually not a lonely path. I never thought about it that way. But, he's saying that you're the one that has to do it. You're the one that has to be open to it. You're the one that has to make the intent, the connection, the commitment to that. You have this desire in your heart to awaken yourself. But he's saying that it's not done by yourself. It's not done in a vacuum. That's what he's saying. It's not done in a vacuum. So he's wanting me to ask, just curious if anybody has tried to do things all by themselves. Thank you, Quasi. Yes, the biggest challenge with doing these portals is that yeah, I get it, Quasi, about learning about it's not, you're not alone in it. It's the biggest thing with doing the portals is because I get a vision, and sometimes I start doing the portal and it's supposed to come out like pretty much like what I saw. But often I start the portal and I start to get intuitively guided as I'm doing it to do it differently than what I saw. And so I just, then at that point it becomes this feeling thing, not a visual thing, because when I get the vision, I see it in my mind's eye. And when I'm painting, I can't necessarily say that I see it why I'm painting. So I have to think about how I'm going to do it a lot. And then I have to also let myself, my little self move aside, thinking I have to figure it out, because so I'll start to think I have to figure it out. And then I'll remind myself, oh, wait, let me ask the spirit guide, whoever I'm creating, that you guide me, what to do. You tell me what to do. And they don't necessarily say it in words. It's often like where I'm being guided to put the paintbrush, where I'm being guided to put the stroke or how to do the stroke. And then sometimes if I do something and it whoops, like one time when I started off this, I accidentally dropped my paintbrush and got a brown on the white flying horse. But it's like, oh, well, it's like, it's one thing I love about oil paints is forgiving. You can actually paint over it and just trust it's going to make part of the painting better. Because the one thing the spirit guides have taught me that I really have had to learn is that life in a human body is not about perfection. It's not about being perfect. It's not about anything looking perfect. And that's where, when you have you don't try to do everything by yourself, and you try to work with spirit and really embrace the fact is that you're not in this alone. I mean, it's the thing, even with me, I see in the spirit, the visions, I create these spirit guides. And then sometimes I'll go through life and go, gee, I haven't actually sat down intentionally. Like my spirit guides give me guidance sometimes through just things that happen in my life. You know, wild animals come in when I go out into nature because I'm a big nature person. In fact, I recommend anybody who's on the path of awakening to go out into nature if you can. I know it's harder in the winter if you live on the East Coast like I do, but if you live um, well, I don't know. Is Kentucky, does it get cold? I've never gone to Kentucky because I'm curious. Does it get super cold there in the winter? Because I have actually never been there, so I don't know what the winters are like there, or anybody else where you're living. But out here where I live now, it gets very cold. It's not the coldest yet because it's not December, but it still gets cold. And it gets harder to go outside because of it. But thank you for sharing about that, about learning that you're not alone during your spiritual journey. It definitely can be the challenging thing. Okay, you get cold too. Okay. So Archangel Gabriel is really wanting me to reiterate what I said at the beginning because he says it's so important. He says, with everything that's happening in the world right now, we need to take our path of awakening seriously. He wants to remind you again what seriously is. It's not about not having fun. It's not about not enjoying it, because people often think when you're serious that you're not enjoying it. He's saying it's about making that commitment and carving out some time. So he's wanting you, if you're seeing this, he's saying you must be, if you've found this live, whether you're actually here live or you're seeing it in the recording, that he wants you to get that, you must need to start taking your path of awakening seriously, because that's what he's talking about, the importance of it. So one of the things that they're both kind of telling me, especially Archangel Gabriel, is that, the path of awakening doesn't have to look like to take it seriously, that you have to go live in an ashram. And an ashram, if you don't know what that is, it's a spiritual community. So you don't, depending on what spiritual path you're on, it's not like you have to go, like if you're a Catholic, you don't have to go be a nun, go live in a monastery by yourself or with just nuns. It's about how do you actually embrace it seriously in your life, like creating that sacred space in your home. Because he's saying about sacred space, like, we talk about that every time I get on here about, oh, welcome to this sacred space. And it's the sacred space within you and the sacred space within your home. I'm going to back up for a minute because one of the things is I have to look at it. Oh, I forgot. From a distance to see how it's looking. So I have to go out of the frame to see it. Ah, yeah, that's working. So, but how can you actually create that sacred space within you and your home? So one of the reasons why the portals, or the spirit guides, I should say, wanted me to create portals is because they were saying how the importance is of the energy of reminders, remembering, that one of the most important things on the path of awakening is remembrance, like remembering you're not alone, that the spirit guides are with you, that God's with you. So whatever your spirit guides look like, whether it's angels or a spirit guide of an animal, but that you're not alone, and that you have to start to remember that, and that spirit's with you, higher power is always there. So one of the reasons why they wanted me to create the portals is so that you have something, one, that when you see it reminds you of, oh, I'm not here by myself. My spirit guides are with me. And two, not just as a reminder, but to carry a vibration, an energy, because everything is energy. We get to infuse the energy into whatever we create. That's the thing about creativity. It's about, I call myself the creative mystic. And if you have any aspirations to combine creativity and mysticism and grow your spiritual gifts, I would say you're one too. And that's one of the things is I want everybody who's feeling like, gee, I really want to start owning the power of creativity, how it can transform myself, others, the space I'm in, because it can, to bring those people together. Oh, what's your business? Quasi, you've got like you put your website up again. So I'm curious, what is it that you do? Yes, you can't give up. Doing your purpose, part of your awakening. It's one of the things that I'm very, like a lot of times people talk about awakening as if it's just you do the spiritual practice. And I tell people, your purpose is vital for you to do. You came here for a reason, and it's important that you act on the reason you came here. So yeah, Kozai, if you share what it is that you do, I'd love to know what it is. So they're talking about the importance of that, of keeping the sacred space in your area. And so if you have like your own business also, how do you keep the sacred space in your business? Oh, no, Akasha Records. Very cool. So you want to help people budget with their money. So is it like two separate businesses, or you're trying to bring like the spiritual together with like money? And I get it. I'd love to see what you make. Yeah, it can be. The first time I got told to put on my website that I can see a person's spirit guide and I could create their own spirit, their unique spirit guide portal for them to help them either manifest their purpose or overcome a challenge. I was like, oh, well, I don't even know if I can do this. So it was really scary for me to do. But it's one of the things I help my clients with. My mentoring clients, my coaching clients, is I help them, take steps and manifest the purpose that they're here for. And I do it with the spirit guide. So that's how I'm unique, is that I use their higher guidance to guide what we do in the session. Because the people work with me in programs. They don't just work with me on a one-time reading, because most people, just kind of like what you're saying, cause eyes, you have some fear about putting yourself out there. Those fears or beliefs that stop people, they're patterns, they're habits, and so we have to help them change that. So it can take a little while. And I don't like to limit people. When I say a little while, I don't mean like years. I just mean like, I find that when they have that challenge to change the programming, that takes some energy and can take a little while. So I always do it in a program style so that people have ongoing support. So. I'm going to step out of the frame for a minute so I can look at the wings from a distance. So, looking much better, much better. So, Koza, if you're still there, I think you are. Yeah. If you're looking for someone to help you with that, I do what I call a complimentary next step connection call. So, if it's something you're looking to get some support, you're looking for a coach, feel free to take advantage of my next step connection call. You just go to deepblue.com/gift. Link should be in the show notes if you want to. And no pressure, just, I always like, sometimes people really like, I'm ready, I want the support I need, and they're ready to get it. So I'm just offering it to you. Oh, totally. Quasi people's money issues are totally, well, I should say they have a lot of conflicting beliefs around, they're about money and growing spiritually. Years ago, I would go out and do different in-person spiritual talks, and I would meet spiritual people, and they would always talk about how they don't care about money. I wouldn't argue with them, but this one guy was like, because I've been coaching for quite a while. I with my spirit guides, it's only been 5 years, maybe 6 years. I don't know. I'm not good with spans of time, but he's like, oh, I don't care about money, and I said, well, do you worry about money? He goes, well, of course I do. I said, well, if you care about money, if you worry about money, then you care about money. And he just paused and looked at me for a long time because, we don't worry about things we don't care about. So he somehow thought spiritually it was like, it was good to think you don't care about money. And I'm someone who like kind of tells people, the truth. Not kind of, that's kind of how I am. Some people don't like it. Some people do. So, but if you're a spiritual person and you're hearing this and you think you don't care about money, but you worry about money, I'm here to tell you, you do care about money because you're worrying about it. So, it's not about negating what you need. It's about honoring that. It's much better. Oh, thank you for sharing. Is that Lil Waterland? So thank you for telling me from Belgium. I think you're the first person I've seen from Belgium. Oh, wait, no, I think someone has actually tuned in from Belgium. Was that possibly you before? So welcome, welcome. Archangel Gabriel and the Flying Horse have been talking about the importance of your path of awakening and to take it seriously. So I don't know if also, Lil, are you an artist in any way, or do you do some creative thing? Love for you to share that if you do. So now I've been working on all the fine details. So it's a much slower process than in the beginning. Okay, thank you, Kwazai. Gotta go get your kids, I understand. Hope to see you next week. Right, okay, so okay, maybe okay. I know someone's been here from Belgium, but I didn't think I'd recognize your sign on. But sometimes people get on with a different sign on. I'm glad you resonate with what he said. You have to take it seriously. I'm not quite sure I understand what you said. You said you need to take it seriously, but I want to buy. I find it challenging. I'm not sure what you mean by I want to buy. I find it challenging. If you want to clarify, I'd be happy. If you have any question or anything, please feel free to put it in there. In fact, if you put a question in, a lot of times the spirit guides will come forth and answer it. So I always tell people, they don't tell me it every single time, but they're kind of giving me that clue now. Like if you have something, go ahead and put it in. They might come forth and answer it. Do you have any form of medium that you do little of with like art or anything? Just curious. You're on here, so is it just you something that you're curious about, or do you work with the spirit guides? Do you have a medium of art that you do? Oh, but okay, that makes more sense. I was like, but I don't kind of understand that. Oh, but you don't feel good enough. That's a common thing people have. Well, but I'm here to tell you, Archangel Gabriel is here to tell you you are good enough. Everybody is hardwired. In fact, my next episode, I'm going to be doing long form, pre-recorded video. It's going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the 4 pillars, and that it's in your DNA to be on the path of awakening. You're meant for it. And Archangel Gabriel is going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you that. You are meant for that. If you're in a human body, you're hardwired for it. Part of like what we have to help you with is to get over that programming that tells you you're not good enough, because you are. What do I need to see what I don't see? Well, let's see what they say. Well, what they're saying to me, your first step so that you can actually see what you don't see is to be willing to start to do some practices where you just work on raising your level of awareness. That's what they're saying. We just want you to raise your level of awareness a little bit. And one of the ways you can do that, they're saying, is you can just use like the power of the pause. If you've tried meditating and you've had trouble doing it consistently, they're saying the power of the pause can help you. And you pause and you take that moment to like check in. You check in with spirit, you check in with yourself, so that you can become aware of like what you're sensing, what you're feeling, because they're saying is the first step to awakening, is becoming more aware. That making sense, Lil? So you just started your own business, but then you weren't able to start because of some circumstance? Curious. You might not want to tell me here on YouTube what that circumstance is, but I just said this to the other person talked about, not the other, Quasi was talking about her own business too. It's funny, 2 people saying that. One of the things I do is I work with people who have their own business, especially spiritual seekers, mystics, souls who want to bring in, their spiritual growth and want to understand the spiritual laws. If it's something that you would like, you can feel free to take advantage of my complimentary connection call It's at deepaloo.com/gift. Oh, it does make sense. Good. Yeah, they're saying to do that. But yeah, if you want to take advantage of my next step connection call, because maybe you're looking for someone to help support you in having your own business, please feel free to take advantage of it. Again, deepaloo.com/gift. But yeah, have you ever tried, I'm curious, any kind of meditation practice but they just mentioned about the pause, like incorporate that right now. But I'm just curious, my own curiosity. This is me talking, not them saying, like wondering, have you ever done anything like that? Thing I love about oil paints is I love just mixing the paint right on the canvas. So much fun. Oh, I can't believe it's 4:28 already. Time just flies when I paint the spirit guides. I'm going to have to get off soon because I have a 5 o'clock appointment. One thing about when you do painting is you got to clean the brushes. It's like a spiritual practice by itself, just cleaning the brushes. I actually do need to paint something else though before I get off, which is, I'm going to do this some more before it dries. Well, Lil, in Belgium, I hope to see you next week. Oh, wait, next week I won't be doing this because it's Thanksgiving here in the United States. I just remembered that. So the week after, I will be back here doing another live, and hopefully we'll be finishing off this portal soon. It's not done yet, but it's definitely getting closer to being done. So yeah, not next week, because next week here in the United States it's Thanksgiving, but the week after that, I don't remember the date. It's though December. I can't believe it's December. I'm like, oh my goodness, the year is in the last month in a week. It's like I just can't even believe it. Like it just seemed like the other day it was. Oh, okay. Well, good. I'm glad you tried it before. Well, right now they're just saying practice the power of the pause. I don't know what kind of meditation you've done, but it is something that, I highly recommend. I do it every morning, every evening, because it has changed me by doing it. So highly recommend it. But that wasn't the guidance. The guidance was to do the power of the pause, and take just those moments to kind of be with yourself, so that you can start to tune in to what's really going on for you. So Any recommendations for meditation? Well, I have a few different ones I do. I mean, there's one I always do, but sometimes one of the things, if you've been on the spiritual path a long time, like I've been doing it for many, many years, um, it's keeping it fresh, So I have different kind of mantra meditations that I focus on a mantra. Um, so that you focus the mind. A lot of times people think meditation is about, oh, not thinking. And I said, well, good luck on that. Because our brain is wired to think, right? So it's really about focusing your mind on one thing. So I can do a hung sa, I can do an ah, meditation where I just focus on the sound of ah. Now, obviously, I'm not saying these out loud. It's about thinking it. So I don't have time to teach you today, but if you show up 2 weeks from now, maybe I'll get some guidance to show it to you, or if you remind me. It is something I work with clients with because meditation is actually an art. It's easy to, I mean, I can teach you how to do it in about 10, 15 minutes as far as the basics, but then the nuances are what keeps it so that you have the great experiences of feeling like joy and, having the experience of deep meditation where you feel like time is passing by, where you don't even notice how much time has passed by, like you're surprised. Those kinds of things are nuances to help you with. But yeah, I do a mantra meditation mostly, but it's mantra in thought, so like on hung sa, you think hung on the inhale and sa on the exhale, or sometimes I do an ah meditation. And I have other forms of, like, I know Kriya, and I have about 4 or 5 different techniques that I use in meditation. And then there's like supporting practices that help you to go deeper, because meditation, like I said, is an art. So hopefully that is helpful for you. Did that help, Lil? I'm curious if you've what you've done before, because I have a few minutes. I'd love to see what your response is. But yeah, I'm big on mantra meditation because it gives you a focal point. And if your mind drifts to something else, you just bring it back to that focal point. And one of the reasons why it's so helpful to do a mantra meditation where you focus on one thing is because our minds go all over the place, right? I bet you see that where you're thinking about this and you're thinking about that, and people worry, in their thoughts, and they have habitual patterns. And when you become aware, you can catch it and you can stop it. And then when you learn how to focus, your mind doesn't dart off so much. You learn that you get aware enough to notice, like, oh, my mind's dropped into maybe internal complaining, or internal beating yourself up, or how that is, that people's thoughts go off. Now, a lot of people are not even aware enough to notice that it's happening. So if you're at a place where you don't notice it's happening to you, just know you feel anxious and worried, but you don't even notice the thoughts that are happening. That could be why Archangel Gabriel said, start with the power of the pause. But again, I'm not tuning in to find out your energy to see, what you've done or anything. I'm just saying, depending on where you are. But they really recommended you start with that power of the pause. Oh, you do notice. Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, so that's really good. So yeah, if you're looking, like I said, for somebody to help you and would like a coach, I'd have a next step connection call there. I put it up on the screen just so you can see it. It's deepaloo.com/gift. It's complimentary, no obligation. It's just to see, are we a fit? If you're looking for somebody, and if you're not, no problem. I just, when anybody mentions things that they're, struggling or something like that, I'm a believer we all need coaches. I have coaches to help me because, even though I practice every day, we all have a blind spot, which is ourselves. So your blind spot is you. It's so easy to help other people and see what's going on with them, but how to get out of your own mire that you get in can be challenging. And you're not alone in that. I tell people, everybody has blind spot. It's themselves. And if you think about it, right, you've never seen your own face, have you? And usually the response I get from a lot of people is, well, I have, in a mirror. And I go, oh, Nancy, but that's not seeing it yourself, because what you see in the mirror depends on the quality of the mirror, right? If it's a warped mirror, you're going to get a warped reflection. And so that's why it's much more difficult for people to see themselves and to know how to overcome the challenge that they're having. So anyway, any last questions before I think you did put a comment in there. Okay. All right, Lil. I'm gonna give you a couple. Do you have any last questions before I wrap it up? Otherwise, I got to get myself going so I can get to my 5 o'clock appointment, clean my brushes. But I want to make sure that you're complete. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you like what you said, well, or what I said, I should say. It all helps my channel, helps get more views, But yeah, if you subscribe, what will happen is you'll get notified, especially if you hit notify me, it'll notify you when I do my next live, and that'll be in December since we have Thanksgiving next week. All right? You're good? Okay, great. I'm glad you feel complete, Lil. Thank you so much. Blessings, and have a miraculous day. Take care.